Microsoft gets a lot of crap lately, and a lot of it is deservedly so. Let's just be real. They kind of bring it on themselves. But, at the same time, I feel like they don't get enough of the positive accolades and stuff like that. And maybe they shouldn't. I don't know. I guess it really kind of depends on where you stand with this whole thing. But I feel like, even the worst of the worst is, something that Microsoft hasn't done. I don't think they're that bad. I honestly think that they're kind of a torn Jekyll and Hyde situation where we see, a lot of people that, probably want Xbox to have exclusives, and then you have the other side that probably just wants them to make money and don't understand that, there has to be, a little bit of both there or whatever. So, as far as I can tell, it's one of those things that kind of is an ebb and flow situation. Now, this I think of as very good news, and if anything, this has more of a chance to be something that could end up being an exclusive for Xbox more so than what could have happened before. So, yeah, very interesting stuff here, and shout out to Windows Central and Jez Gordon for the story. Toys for Bob, known for handling Crash Bandicoot 4, Spyro Reimagining, and Skylanders, all that stuff, is now working with Microsoft on their first game since going independent. So, recently, Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard King in a $72 billion deal. They gave the software giant control over franchises like Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, and Candy Crush Saga. Quite an eclectic mix, if I do say so myself. Now, included in the acquisition was legendary studio Toys for Bob, who have worked on the Skylanders, Spyro, and Crash Bandicoot franchises over a 30-year history. Now, last month, Microsoft and Toys for Bob agreed to part ways, with the latter spinning out to be an independent company. A lot of people gave Microsoft a lot of hate for that, but it turns out that, that was an option aside from closing the studio completely. So, Microsoft could have been dicks and closed them off completely. So Microsoft retains ownerships of the IP like Skylanders, Crash, Spyro, and other properties associated with Activision. According to Windows Central now, they've confirmed that Toys for Bob has now finalized an agreement with Xbox to fund their first title. So Microsoft finally finished its blockbuster acquisition, and as part of the acquisition, they snapped up a ton of studios and classic games, Guitar Hero, Skylanders, and many more. In years past, the legendary team Toys for Bob were very instrumental in building out Activision's big Skylander franchise, which included like Toys to Life gameplay elements similar to the Nintendo Amiibo line. Players could buy small figures with NFC chips baked in, and then place those characters within the Skylander video game via a USB portal. Toys for Bob were also involved in various previous Crash Bandicoot titles as well, producing the fourth installment and my personal favorite, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. However, in recent years, during the COVID-19 pandemic especially, Toys for Bob were increasingly leaned on by Activision to support Call of Duty, so working as a support studio on various entries in the series. Now, sources have indicated that previously Toys for Bob culture didn't gel well with Activision's often restrictive corporate mandates, and they were excited for the opportunity to spin out as independent in agreement with Microsoft. When they initially spun out, they released a statement indicating that they were confident that they would work with Activision and Xbox in the future, and that they were exploring a possible partnership. It now seems that those talks have borne some fruit, which I think is definitely a good thing. Now, I think people will probably start to question what are they going to work on, and we'll probably find out soon. During a recent town hall meeting described to them by sources familiar with the event, a staffer asked the panelists about Toys for Bob, given that they're now going independent, separate from Microsoft and Activision. Toys for Bob leadership was adamant about keeping the team together, and also about returning to a style of game the studio is known for. Microsoft referenced how they spun out Twisted Pixel in the past as an alternative option to shuttering the studio. Matt Booty, now leading Xbox's game content division, reportedly said that an agreement has now been reached between Xbox and Toys for Bob for their first game as an indie studio. However, he stopped short of describing exactly what it'll be, although he did say something along the lines of, and this is a paraphrase, quote unquote, it will be similar to the games that Toys for Bob has made in the past. So Toys for Bob may be independent, but the fact that they told fans to keep their horns on could be a reference to Spyro the Dragon, which enjoys a passionate fan base to this day. The humorous 3D platformers that Toys for Bob is often associated with are all still owned by Microsoft, but for now, have no dedicated developer. So it seems entirely likely that Toys for Bob's first game out of the gate could either be within the Crash or Spyro pantheon. So again, it could also be something else completely new. Toys for Bob's very own new IP. Perhaps long-suffering Banjo-Kazooie fans could get a glimmer of hope from this deal too. Either way, it's encouraging to see Toys for Bob continue to get to do their own thing. So again, I look at this and I think, hey, this is really, really, really good news because, at the end of the day, they're going to be able to do something that they're going to be able to enjoy to do. Like one of the main reasons, and you can go back and look and check, when I talked about Microsoft getting one of the big things for me personally was, they would be able to get Activision and have, a situation where those companies could get out from underneath Call of Duty, right? Like that's just, I'm being real about it, you could just tell that a lot of these studios that were doing good games before, like Moon Studios and Toys for Bob and, Raven Software, like these teams were doing really cool stuff that wasn't Call of Duty. Not everything had to be Call of Duty, but I guess in a world where, Call of Duty sells so well, you have to, I guess, continuing to pump out that yearly franchise, and it just kind of makes me sick. So I thought, hey, we'll probably get new IP, or we'll probably get some of the old IP back. We'll get, less of these companies working on just Call of Duty, and I looked at that as a good thing. I mean, who knew that Microsoft was going to kind of turn that into this weird situation that we're currently in, where, they only do, they're not really doing much in terms of exclusives. So, I mean, that is very much a lackluster thing in my opinion. I don't know if they're one and of themselves, but it's so weird to me that, they announce, oh, hey, we're going to put these games on PlayStation and Nintendo. They didn't even give themselves any chance. Like, the deal literally just went through, and then it's like, a month later, hey, guess what? We're putting these games on PlayStation, our biggest rival or what have you. So, I always kind of look at that as like, man, was this always the plan? Like, did they expect an instant kind of return on all this money? Like, I don't sure. Like, I look at Microsoft and I think, man, you guys are a multi-trillion-dollar company. Was somebody in there smarter than that? I guess that's the type of thing that that I don't really understand, but maybe you guys understand it, or guys have a particular feeling on this. Like I said, for me personally, I look at it and I say, guess what? Better than not having anything. You know what I mean? I think this actually does give Microsoft a chance at having exclusive. Maybe it is Banjo-Kazooie, so who really knows? But it could be, and I think that would be kind of cool, So we'll see what happens. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited about this? I think it's cool that they get another chance instead of just being tied strictly to Activision. Let me know in the comments below. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.